Hey, welcome to Because I Can live podcast. And today I'm going to help you make more money through your photography. Why? Because it's February. And February tends to be the lowest in e-commerce sales. And I want to shake that up a little bit. You can listen to last week's podcast episode where I dive into it more and give you more tips on how you can make February. Let's make it your highest month. Deal? Let's get you more money in your pocket than ever this month of February. So why I chose this topic for February, photography, is because it makes such a drastic difference in sales. In fact, back in December, I think it was December, I posted on my Instagram feed how Lydia of Badoki Kids took a product that was in a flat lay. So a flat lay is she takes the product, puts it on the ground, she stands over it, and she takes a picture of it and put that up on her website. And she made about, I think it was like 1.2, like $1,200. Then what she decided to do was give it to a photographer and let the photographer do a lifestyle picture. And so the photographer put this product, it was the cutest thing ever. It was a little deer, a crocheted deer costume on a baby, and put that baby, this newborn baby, in a basket. Oh, it's the sweetest thing ever. You can go look at my Instagram story. You'll be able to see it. And she posted that picture of those sweet cheeks and those cute antlers that were on this baby's head on her website, and ended up increasing her sales to over $15,000. What? She didn't change the copy. She didn't change the product. She didn't change the price. All she did was change the photography. It is magical. It's not this big, huge, complicated thing. You can just change the picture. So today's podcast episode, I'm bringing in Natalie Napoleon, who's going to give you tips on how to make your product photography better. This is what she does. And you'll hear how she started doing fine art photography to wedding photography, and now is doing product photography and teaching others how they can do amazing things with their products as well, with a camera. A phone on the camera. You don't even have to have big, expensive cameras anymore. You can just use your phone. All right, let's dive into today's podcast episode with Natalie. Natalie, tell us a little bit about your backstory. How did you get started?
So I started my photography business 20 years ago in Washington, D.C. I had just had my first son and was trying to find a way to stay home with him because at the time, quality or quantity over quantity over quality seemed like the best option for me. So I was a fine art major, photography major in school, and I assisted a photographer in DC. At the time, my husband was working in fine dining, and the chef that owned the restaurant had a professional photographer that would come in and photograph his food for him. He also shot weddings on the weekends. So he asked me if I wanted to tag along and shoot a wedding with him, which I did. And that was when digital first came out. So the photographer had a brand new digital camera that at the time was a gazillion dollars because it was so brand new. He didn't want anyone to touch it, but he did let me hold it during the receiving line for about 5 minutes.
You're like,
so I took a few pictures. I know, I'm so excited. So I took some pictures of during the receiving line. And when he took the camera back, he kept looking at the back of it and saying, "Did you take these pictures?" And I thought, well, of course I took the pictures. I was holding the camera. Who else would have taken the pictures? And he said it over and over, probably 7 or 8 times. And that was the moment when I realized I could do this myself. So as a fine art photographer, I had resisted shooting weddings for a long time. And then when I had my first son, I realized that I had to do something that was going to make some money. And at the time I was working in National Geographic, and my intention was to become a National Geographic photographer. But as a National Geographic photographer, you travel for a good part of the year. And I had read an article that one woman photographer had written, and she had one son, and she said that if she had to do it all over again, she wouldn't have done it the way that she
Wow.
did it because she missed so much time with her son.
Oh.
So I figured, well, I might as well give it a shot. So I bought some online advertising space on the knot.com, which was brand new then. So it was really cheap to get on there, and there weren't many photographers. So it was really a great place for me to start because I was able to build my business that way. And then ultimately we moved to California, opened a second studio in San Francisco, kept our first studio in DC, brought on some associates and trained them for about a year before we moved. So they continued to shoot weddings for us in DC while we were in California. And when I was in California, I realized, first of all, I was there during the Great Recession. I moved in the middle of the Great Recession because I'm a great planner like that. And and the market is just so saturated. So I had to find a way to really set myself apart. And that was when I started photographing products at weddings, people's flowers, the rental chairs, the rental tables, the runners that people had on tables. And so people started hiring me to shoot weddings because they knew I did such a good job with product photography and they wanted those details in their wedding portfolios or wedding albums. So then we stayed in California for a few years, and I'm from the East Coast, and I really wanted to be home near my grandmother, who at the time had dementia. So we moved back to the East Coast, opened our third studio, continued to operate the other two as well for a few years, and then ultimately just decided to pare it down and operate our studio here in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, which is in Bucks County, and it's about 20 miles north of Philadelphia.
Okay, so you went from fine art photographer to wedding photographer to now product photographer. And this is why I brought you on, is because my audience, they take pictures of their product all the time. And I love product photography because you don't have to get them to smile unless you've got a model and you're doing like clothing. But cupcake liners, you don't have to get them to smile.
Absolutely. You can do it by yourself, which is really nice. So you don't have to depend on anyone else to be in the scene. And the creativity that it really fires inside of you is exciting too.
Agreed. Okay. So if you'll dive into what are some of the problems that you're seeing with people who take their own pictures, and then of course, let's solve them. Let's give real tips for people who are in e-commerce so they can take better pictures. Because pictures tell your story. Pictures are the thing that sells your product.
Absolutely. So a lot of times people are photographing their products on boring backdrops. So yes, there is a need to have product photography on a clean, crisp, white background, but you also need to have lifestyle photography incorporated into that as well, because people, including myself, don't necessarily have the vision to understand how they can use those products in their own lives.
Okay, can you define lifestyle though? Just in case someone's listening that they don't know what it is.
Absolutely. So lifestyle can mean a couple of things. Lifestyle can mean you placing the product in a real life situation. So if you have a pair of socks, for instance, you can put them on a person and photograph the person's feet, or a necklace can be photographed around a person's neck so that the buyer can see what the length looks like and what the dimensions look like in comparison to clothing or hair, for instance. It can also just mean a pretty setting where you have a pretty table or pretty wood or a nice backdrop behind you, like subway tile or something like that. So something other than a white backdrop.
Love it. Like the Amazon. Amazon's all, you go in there and it's like the white sea of white backdrops.
Yeah, where there is a need for that, absolutely. And I think it's important to have both of those in your portfolio. But when you're really trying to capture the buyer's emotions and you really want to encourage that instant button pressing, that instant buy, you have to capture their heartstrings in a way.
Absolutely. Okay. So what are, like, let's say you're scrolling on Facebook, you see people's ads, or you land on a random store. What are some of the issues that you're seeing with product photographers right now?
So too many things in the scene. Don't jam too much stuff in one scene. If you jam too much stuff in a scene, people don't know what they're looking at. And oftentimes people aren't really thinking how those things relate to each other. Also color. So I don't know, I assume you're not using the video on this, but I'll show you anyway. So let's say you have a pair of pajama pants, and then you have a hat, and then you have a pair of cozy little slipper booties. Now, these colors are all very similar. You don't want to put all of these colors together in a scene. They're all shades of grays and greens. And so nothing is really going to stand out. So let's say I really wanted to highlight the hat in this case. So, but I also want to include the jammies and the booties because I want to sell these things and I want to encourage people to buy them together. But in this particular picture, the hat is my focus. So rather than using a green hat that blends in with the others, I'm going to choose the red hat. And that's really going to pop out and grab someone's attention. Also, think about the way that you're placing your products in your scene. So imagine this window that we're looking at right now is the frame for the picture. You don't want your booties to be facing out of the scene because that's going to lead the viewer's eye out of the picture. You want to make sure that there's some type of circular flow in the picture. So angle the booties towards the center of the picture.
Oh, okay.
And then make sure everything else is bringing people's eye back into the scene. You don't want to lead people off of the scene or out of the scene. So even if you had the booties here on the right side of the screen and the toes were pointing out to the right, you're going to lose your viewer. Your viewer is going to look down to the right and then you're going to lose them. Also try to place your most important item in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. A viewer, when they look at an image, will naturally look at the bottom right-hand of a screen of a picture first.
Well, how would you do that with a hat then?
Yeah, so I would just put the hat in the bottom right-hand side of the screen.
But what if you did a lifestyle picture? Do you need someone like laying down? How would you?
Yeah, so if you're doing a lifestyle picture with a human in it, make sure that the human is, if their body is on the right side of the frame, that they're looking into the center.
Okay, got it.
So you have their head on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, and then their eyes are looking into the center.
And then what do you do with the space above it? Is it?
Well, it doesn't have to be all the way to the bottom. And all of these rules are made to be broken. So let me start with that. They don't have to be super literal. Okay. I would say have the human on the entire right-hand side of the frame. And then that would lead the person's eye around the entire image.
Okay, got it. I'm just imagining like someone awkwardly in the corner. And I'm like, wait, I'm not envisioning this.
Yeah. You have to move your camera around. So explore every angle. I think that a lot of people also have problems with distortion in their photographs, especially when they're shooting something with an iPhone. And I think people get overwhelmed. So when they take a picture and they see the distortion, they automatically get overwhelmed and they just give up. It's really important to explore every single possible angle you can. So if you have that person in the right-hand corner and it looks awkward, reframe the picture. Keep playing and keep shooting until you get that right shot. It's never going to be one shot. Sometimes it'll be your first shot, sometimes it won't, but you won't be able to learn how to get it on the first shot until you learn how to explore all those angles. Because what we see through the lens is not what we see in reality. So, with your phone, make sure you either have it straight up and down or angle it and angle it away from you, angle it towards you. Just keep playing with it and keep shooting it and look and see what you're getting in between every shot.
Yeah, I've taken pictures like around 50. I think I average around 50 pictures per product.
Yeah,
just because I'm constantly walking around, different lighting, different angles. And then I look over them and then one usually just pops out and I'm like, that's the one.
Yeah,
that's the one.
That's right. And if it looks good small, it'll look good enlarged as well. So I tend, when I'm looking through my camera roll, I just pick the images that look best when they're small.
Agreed. Love it. Okay. So you're talking fancy camera and iPhone. What do
Yeah.
you think about the iPhone today? Not the
Yeah.
iPhone, even like 3 years ago. I would have been like, no. But what do you think about like the phone of today?
Yeah. I definitely would encourage everyone to get an iPhone 12 if they can. The camera, and if you can get the Pro Max, then I would highly encourage you to do that. I resisted myself, quite honestly, because it's just huge. And it's, as a woman, I feel like everything in the camera world is so big, including, phones. So it's hard and it's awkward to carry around and whatnot, but get an Apple Watch and then you can get your notifications on your watch and you don't have to touch your phone, except for when you're taking pictures. But the capability of the 12 is amazing. Even just the regular 12 iPhone is amazing. The phones just keep getting, the cameras and the phones just keep getting better and better and better. And it's so easy to be able to take a great shot right away, edit it quickly on your phone, and then share it with just a few taps.
Instead of finding a computer, downloading it from a big, huge camera, editing
Right.
it on your phone or on the computer,
Yeah.
downloading it again, uploading to your
Yep.
phone. Like that's such a race. And now they've made it so easy for us. So if someone doesn't have an iPhone, do you know a
Yep.
comparable phone if they're not into iPhones that has a really
Uh,
good camera?
I
I'm
have
putting you on the
to,
spot. You
yeah,
might not
you are. That's okay. I don't know much beyond the iPhone just
know. Okay.
because I've always been a Mac
Yeah, me
person.
too. Me too.
And yeah, and I've played around with some Android phones
Hmm.
and I haven't been crazy about them, to tell you the truth.
Oh, okay.
So I've shied away from them. I tried. And I'm just strictly iPhone and strictly Mac right now because everything just comes together easily for
Yeah,
me.
it
But
does.
it's like a Canon and Nikon type of question in terms of cameras. Are you a Canon person or are you a Nikon person? And I think it depends on your brain and how your brain works and which interface makes the most sense for you.
Okay. Love it. Love it. Love it. Do you have any favorite editing apps that you use?
Yeah, well, for either the computer, if you're using a big camera, or the phone, Adobe Lightroom is my
Woohoo!
favorite app. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great option you can even use it to take pictures if you want to. You can use it to take pictures on your phone. You can use it to edit your pictures. You can use it to catalog and organize your pictures and upload your pictures. So that is my number one suggestion. But if you just want to keep it simple and talking in terms of phones, you can just use the camera app. Just make a few changes. The new technology allows you to do a lot of similar enhancements as you would in Lightroom. So you can very easily adjust the blacks, you can adjust the contrast, you can adjust the highlights, anything like that. So with just a few simple options in the native camera app, you can really end up with a great shot.
Agreed. Agreed. And a little disclaimer, don't go too wild and crazy, especially with product photography. Because if
Right.
you've got a red shirt on and you lighten it and it turns it pink,
That's
your
right.
customers get a pink shirt over a red shirt, you're not going to get very good reviews. So let's talk about lighting. Can you give
Mhm.
us some tips on the best way to get so you don't have to fiddle with as many little features on the bottom? Like let's get some good shots out of the camera.
I am 100% with you. Always try to get the best shot you possibly can in camera. And when I say in camera, that's either a big camera or an iPhone, either one. When I started photography, I started in the film world. And so I was taught always make sure that you get it when you're shooting it. You don't want to do any post-production work because people like me don't love sitting in front of the computer editing pictures all day long, and business owners just don't have the time to do that. You're busy running your business, and so try to get the shot in the camera. So look and see where you can find the best natural light if you have some great windows near you, and just again move the product around. So place the product somewhere where you just visually think that the light will look good. Take a picture. If it doesn't look good, move it. Or if you have a person in the picture, move the person to another location. And if you're contending with glares from overhead lights, you can just get a piece of foam core, which is like this. You could pick it up at Staples or an art store. You can block light, or you can even use it to reflect light. So you can angle it at the window. If you don't have anything else, you can angle it at the window, and then the white will reflect the light from the window. So you can just place the product across from your reflector, we'll call it, and then angle some light down onto it.
And that's like $2 at the dollar store.
Yes, I'm all about easy and cheap, and just making it look good without having too much fuss.
Okay. So let's say you're not, I mean, you come from a background of art. Like that's who you are.
Yeah.
I don't. I've had to learn quite a bit about what looks good and what doesn't look good, because I don't have that in my soul. Like that's, I'm not an artist. I mean, drawing a stick figure, I can't even do that. So let's say that you're working with someone who's not artistic, who, they have a phone, they're taking pictures and they're looking at it and they're like, how do I know if this is even good? I think I have good lighting. I've reduced the clutter, so there's not a lot of stuff in the background, but how do you know if it's a good picture?
Well, there are a couple of ways. First of all, before you even take the picture, I suggest that you research. Pull up other websites, and they don't even have to be e-com websites. Pull up a magazine, open up a magazine or a website, a magazine website, and just start looking through all of the pictures. The more you look through all of these pictures, the more your brain is going to start to think like a photographer and see like a photographer. And then test. You'll never know until you test. Put it up on your website or on your social media and see what type of response you get. Now I'm at the point where when I post something on Instagram, I know whether or not I'm going to get a lot of likes or not get any likes. So that's really the best way to test an image. Put it up and see what type of response you're getting from your audience.
Okay. That's easy enough. Social media has made it easy. Just to plug it up there. Okay. So what are some other tips? Like, how do you organize? Let's say you're doing 10 shots and you don't have a ton of time. How do you organize it all to get the best pictures in the shortest amount of time? Because really, like, photography can suck the hours away from you.
Yes.
Like no one's business.
Absolutely. I think that in order to try to minimize the amount of time that you're taking shots, if you can have a location that you've set up ahead of time where you shoot everything, you already know what the light is going to look like, you know how to deal with the glare, that is going to be your first solution to minimizing the amount of time you're spending. The next is make a list. Write down exactly what it is that you want to capture and what the goal is for those pictures. So if you're not shooting with models and we're just talking about the products themselves, think about like the hat and the shoe and the booty option, for instance. Do I want to highlight the hat? Do I want to highlight the booty? Okay, I want to get the hat first. I want to get the booty next. And then I want to get the pajama pants. So make a list so that you don't have to think about it as you're going through it. And just shoot as many as you possibly can. And then make sure that you budget a little bit of time for yourself at the end to go through and edit the pictures. I think it's important, even if you don't have a lot of time, to set an exact amount of time that you're going to spend on everything, rather than saying, I don't have a lot of time, I'm going to go into this situation, I'm just going to shoot and see what happens. Give yourself, say, if you're new to it, an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then plan on spending an hour to an hour and a half shooting, and then maybe a half an hour editing. So when you force yourself into those time blocks, you tend to be more efficient with your time.
Agreed. Agreed.
Mhm.
How many times have we been
Mhm.
on Instagram and 5 hours later when we thought it was 5 minutes, we haven't gotten
Yes.
anything accomplished?
Yes, absolutely. So just go in with a plan and a time restriction.
Okay. So, can I ask you one more question?
Of course.
How do you tell stories? How
Mhm.
would you recommend people tell stories with their photography? And I know you said look on Pinterest or look at different shops or things like that, but how do
Yeah.
you truly tell a story within a picture?
Yeah. So, well, when you're thinking about something like a pair of pajama pants, if you just have them on a white background, that's all they are. They're a pair of pajama pants. But maybe you can put them on a model. So that's going to tell a story right there. You'll see that the model is actually wearing the pajama pants. Or you can put them in a scene. So if it's a holiday and you want to give them as a holiday gift, maybe you could put them in under a Christmas tree, for instance. And then that would be the story of giving a pair of pajama pants for Christmas, or you could put a nice warm mug of cocoa next to the pants. So that's really going to give people a feeling around what the pants are doing, what they're for, and what the need is.
Okay, I love it. Like letting them envision themselves using that product.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah, or if you're selling a book, for instance, maybe you want to put it on a shelf in a room. So you can see that if it's for a child's book, for instance, you might want to put a little chair underneath of the shelf or next to the shelf, and then put the book on the shelf so that the scene itself alludes to the use of the product.
Got it. Got it. I love it. Yeah, I've noticed huge selling. Like the sells, I don't know the exact number, but we sell a heck of a lot more when it's a lifestyle picture versus
Yeah.
a white background because people can envision themselves in it.
Right, exactly. They don't know how they're going to use the product. So if you have a product that's on a white backdrop, it's meaningless. It doesn't tell you who it's for, what the product is supposed to make you feel, or how it's going to make somebody else feel. It's like paint. If you're selling paint and you take a can of paint and put it on a white backdrop, that's all it is. It's a can of paint in front of a white backdrop. But if you take the can of paint and then maybe you have a brush and then you have a stroke on a specific wall in a room, then that's telling a story. You're painting a specific wall in somebody's room that someone can relate to. Maybe it's a baby's room, or maybe it's your bedroom or your living room. So putting some context in the picture is going to help tell the story.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So, will you give me 3 tips on the entrepreneur who's just starting their journey? They're
Yeah.
picking up their iPhone
Yep.
and they're like, how do I do this?
Yeah.
Just like the top 3 tips to get them from like junk pictures that they're
Yes.
embarrassed about to something that actually that gives them the chance to be able to go out there and make sales.
Yeah. Number one, don't get stressed out. Number two, clear your background. Make sure you have a nice, clear scene. Number three, enjoy it. Just put down the product, take a picture of it. Don't think about what you need to take the picture for. I think oftentimes our feelings and our brains tend to prevent us from getting good photographs. So just take the time to put the picture in a scene, take a picture of it, and then look at it. And if it's not working, take another picture.
Perfect. Okay. I'm just writing down notes.
Yeah, of course. No problem.
Good, good, good. Okay. So where can people find more about you? Because now not only you take product photography, you're actually teaching people how to do product
Yes.
photography. So where
Yes.
can people find out more about you?
So I am launching a brand new series of workshops. You can find
Yay.
them on, thank you, whisperingelephant.com.
I love that.
And thank you. I can't take credit. My son came up with it. So I'm teaching photographers how to set up backgrounds and how to arrange their items, their products in the photographs. I'm teaching it all live. So these will be live workshops that you can join virtually. So you'll see me setting up a background. You'll see me setting up the products. You'll see me playing with the light. You'll see me using a phone. And as a bonus, I'm also including a pro setup. So if you do have the space or the time or the the wherewithal to set up a professional photo studio, then I'll teach you how to do that as well. So you can get those boring white backdrop shots too, because sometimes you do need them. So it's a great opportunity to learn how to do those.
And this is, they can find it all out on the Whispering Elephant.
Yes, whisperingelephant.com. Yeah.
And
so what's nice about it is that if people have questions about specific products, they can message me before the workshop and tell me I'm having a problem with a candle, for instance. So I have a network here in my town that always gives me lots of products to play with. So I can find a similar type of product and set that up in the scene and show them how to overcome any of their challenges.
That's cool. Can people send you product and have you take pictures?
Absolutely.
You do that still too?
Yes, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good. Awesome. Well, those were such good tips. Such good tips. I wrote them down. Thank you so much for being so gracious and giving us so many good tips on product photography.
My pleasure. I have one more tip for you before we go.
Let's do it.
This is a really easy one. So oftentimes people take pictures with their camera up at the top of their phone, with the lens at the top of their phone. If you're not getting what you want, just flip your phone over. And that'll change the perspective. So that's a really quick, easy
super
tip.
Fast. Super fast. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure.
So good. All right. We'll talk to you later. Thanks, Natalie.
Thank you. Thank you too, Alison. Bye.
Wee-hoo! That was a fun podcast episode. Yeah, wee-hoo. I don't know where that came from. Sometimes it just comes out of my mouth. All right, let's go over the top 10 takeaways from Natalie, giving us so much good information on product photography. All right, we're going to start with number 10. And of course, we go all the way down to number 1. All right, here we go. Number 10. This is what she said at the beginning, and I thought it was so good. She talked about how when she was holding that digital camera for the first time and was taking a couple shots, someone else was like, whoa, you're really good at photography. She felt good about that and she leaned into it and she created a business around what she's good at. How many times have someone come up to you and said, hey, you're a good, crocheter? That's what Lydia did. Remember at the beginning of the podcast? She started a crochet business when she first got started. Now, Badoki Kids, that's a different business now. That woman, I'll tell you what, she's on fire. She's on fire. But she leaned into something that she was good with and started a business around it. Wendy Kessel loves glitter. She started a business around glitter. Megan Pyra loves fashion. Started a business around fashion. So look at what you are good at, what you love, what you're passionate about. Build a business around it. I loved that. Maybe that should have been number 1 because I love that kind of stuff. But I put it at number 10 just because. All right, number 9, with photography, simplify the scene. Yes, that means you need to take out the random crap that's sitting in the background. Get rid of it. Make your product shine. Number 8, add color. If you have a whole bunch of gray products, it's going to look like a gray picture. Add that pop of color to help your product shine. Number 7, walk around. Don't just shoot once and say, okay, that's good enough. Nope. Walk around, take pictures, explore the angles, see what looks good in your phone grid. Because if it looks good on your phone grid, it's going to look good other places. Number 6, shoot, edit, and post all on your phone. Oh my goodness. It has taken the clunkiness that photography can be down to pure convenience. I know. Where are the angels singing right now? I love convenience in a business, and using the phone can help you to do that. Number 5, when you take a picture, the thing that you're looking at needs to be the best quality that you can get, because that leads me to number 4. Yes, you can use the Lightroom app to edit your pictures, but if you're taking crappy pictures, you can't out-edit any crappy picture. Get a good picture and then just add a little pizzazz to the Lightroom app to make your picture pop so it doesn't look overdone. All right, going on to number 3, foam core. What? Few bucks from the dollar store. I guess it wouldn't be a dollar store if it was a few bucks. Maybe it's Dollar Tree where things are more than $1, right? Use a foam core, white piece of foam core to help reflect the light and to help with glares. Yeah, glares are a big pain in product photography. Number 2, Research. Find some inspiration. Get on Pinterest. Look at other stores. How are they taking their pictures? That can save you a ton of time, as it leads us to number 1 is write down all the shots that you want to take before you go into a photo shoot, because that's going to save you so much time. And then at the end, don't forget to budget a little extra time for that touch of editing. All right. I hope you like that podcast episode. I know lifestyle pictures, total game changer. And what's really cool being able to use our phones and go so quickly now with our photography is we had these red cupcake liners. Oh, they were so cute. They had polka dots. And we actually had red and green. And you're going to hear you're going to figure out where I'm going with this. This is like, you already know it. You know where it's headed. So we had the red and the green, and we sold it for Christmas. We didn't sell out of them. So what did we do? We broke them up. And we took the red cupcake liners, sold them for Valentine's Day. We put little candy heart, conversational hearts in there and sold them for Valentine's Day. And then we took the green and sold them for St. Patrick's Day. And we were able to create the mood for the product to help meet people with what they were already thinking about. Oh, I got to get stuff for Valentine's. Oh, I got to get stuff for St. Patrick's Day. So we helped create the vision in their head of what they were already starting to look for, created that perfect win-win. And we were able to turn it around quickly. So anyway, hope that gave you some beautiful ideas on photography. Take those pictures, get them out there. Why? Because the world needs your product now more than ever. And it helps you put that money in your pocket where it belongs. Why? Because you can. All right, I will see you next week. Adios.